Hey everybody, welcome to part 4 in my series about psychedelics and technology. Part 1 was looking at the current state of affairs. Part 2 was asking how we can use technology to come into contact with psychedelics, the psychedelic emergence. Part 3 looked at a very specific how, which is my own work, Sound Self. And part 4 is gazing into the crystal ball and saying, here's what I see coming up next. And this is just one person's perspective, but this is my domain, and I may be an idiot, but I hope this is an area that I at least have some good guesses around, because I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm actually building a business around what I think is coming in the next 2-3 years. So in part 1, I explored how we need an authentic Western mystical tradition. We can't go into the classic traditions that these psychedelic phenomena are coming from and claim them as ours. We just can't do that. We have to forge our way forward with an authentically Western psychedelic tradition. And generally, actually, we could generalize from that, just an authentically Western mystical tradition. We can't steal someone else's and expect it to work. And we can't reject any part of our culture and expect it to work. So I hear people, talking about the emergence of psychedelics and the end of capitalism, or the end of technology as we know it, or whatever, and going back to a world like an agricultural world or something like that. And it just doesn't make sense to me, because that's not who we are. Who we are is all of these things, the Western markets, it's the Western technology, and so on. So how do psychedelics play with these things? What is our authentic Western mystical tradition? Here's what I think. I think it has a lot to do with novelty. I think we already have an economy built around people going to things because they're interesting. Certainly there are a great many people who have discovered their inner a relationship with their inner mysteries by a novel relationship with psychedelics. I did when I was younger. Well, let's try these weird things. Oh my God, I'm God and everything is what I am. And so, and pow, suddenly I'm a mystically inclined person and a spiritually inclined person. This happens all the time here. So I think that an important layer of what's to come are spaces, or you can think of them as gosh, I hate to use this word, but products, or environments that people can step into out of a sense of pursuing novelty in order to experience some deeper aspect of themselves. That's the thing that's most interesting to me. The other prong, I think, is wellness. We're beginning to see people taking care of themselves and including their mind and their spirit in a sort of full accounting of how they want to take care of themselves. Meditation is good for your spirit and your mind and your body, right? But if we look at an amazing phenomenon happening right now, and that's Burning Man, and how Burning Man has grown into this massive festival that extends beyond the borders of Burning Man itself, and is bleeding into not only our culture as a whole, but into our entrepreneurial startup culture, most prominently in the Bay Area, but that influence and moves is through the rest of the West. I think we're going to see more and more spaces that draw people in by novelty. So the places that I'm most interested in as an entrepreneur are cannabis lounges, because cannabis is becoming legal very quickly, and cannabis is such a great case study, because it brings people together. People come together to share in cannabis, and it also brings people to a location, like it does it with coffee shops in Amsterdam. So what happens if these cannabis lounges become environments where people can come together to share in an experience that is psychedelically informed? And after cannabis lounges, what happens if it's not just cannabis, but if you have spaces that are legally sanctioned for people to come together and have a psychedelic experience, sort of like what's already happening with ayahuasca? As we have these spaces, and we're technologically informed people, and we're technologically interested people. What happens when we bring novel technologies into the space that actually help assist people in going deeper into their psychedelic journey, or assist people in going deeper into themselves without the psychedelic tool? I see an emergence, we call it in our company, we call it the modern temple. And I hear a lot of entrepreneurs talking about this idea. It's just beginning to bubble up here and there. We haven't really seen it come up yet. But there's this idea that a lot of people I'm hearing talk about in so many different forms of what's the place we come together to worship and to experience being together. And because of our culture, there's no way that such a place is going to be built that isn't going to involve intelligently designed and psychedelically informed technologies. And that's what, by the way, my company does. My company is an agent for psychedelically informed technologies. This is what my company, Andromeda Entertainment, does. We're an agent for and a publisher of psychedelically informed technologies with these spaces in mind. And not just psychedelically informed technologies, but technologies that are informed by the inward journey. Okay. So this is something that we're looking for everywhere. What are spaces that could evolve and that are likely to evolve into an expression, a modern expression of the temple? Cannabis lounges, 1. Co-working spaces, 2. Psychedelic clinics, 3. Those are the ones that come to mind for me right now. Spas. But I don't know where it's going to start, and I don't know what it's going to look like when it starts, but I'm paying attention. And the next series of talks I'm going to be doing, hopefully with my esteemed colleague Lyle Maxon, who thinks about this stuff a lot more deeply than I do, will be about these emerging spaces, the modern temple. So thank you for joining. If you happen to be in the Bay Area, perhaps you can come see me at the Awaken Futures Summit, where I'll be speaking on some of these ideas. Bye-bye.